To you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Call Dr. Paul Danes at 753-HEAR, 753-HEAR, or visit cachehearing.com.
Are you a hot sleeper? Warm summer nights can make it hard to sleep. UNI Furniture recommends sleeping cooler with a gel memory foam mattress. UNI features a copper-infused gel memory foam that helps with coolness and circulation. It moves better with you, giving you the best night's sleep. UNI is also the home of Chair Heaven. There's a reason they sell so many chairs, including recliners. For over 90 years, there's always been a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. During the summertime, many Idahoans head to the water, but algae outbreaks can stop them from a relaxing day cooling off. Algae blooms typically occur in slow-moving bodies of water like lakes, but they can occur in rivers as well. They can be harmful to human health and are especially dangerous for animals. Last year, it's suspected algae blooms led to the deaths of a horse and 2 dogs in Idaho. Josh Johnson with Idaho Conservation League says it's important to identify these toxic outbreaks. He adds it's also important to focus on what causes them.
We don't often talk as much about why are these happening. And some things we can't control, like it's going to be hot and sunny in the summer, but we can control the amount of nutrients that go into the water.
Johnson says which nutrient sources depend on the water body, but can come from agricultural runoff, waste from dairies and feedlots, especially in southern Idaho, or excess fertilizer on people's lawns. In the past 2 years, there have been 35 health advisories for algae blooms in Idaho. And at least one person was displaced from a home in Payson, Utah, late Tuesday night after a lit firework tipped over and discharged into bushes at the front of the residence. The Payson Fire Department responded to the call just after 11 p.m. Photos shared by the department show the front of the home engulfed in flames. As the sun was rising on Wednesday, the damage caused in the blaze came into better view. While the home did not appear to be a total loss, the front entrance was clearly destroyed, with both the home's windows blown out, the siding melted away, and structural lumber charred. KBNU News Time is 4:07. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
The Murdoch Summer Tour sales event is here.
At Murdoch Hyundai, we're turning up the volume on savings.
For those summer days with the windows down and tunes playing loud, Murdoch Hyundai has the perfect ride to make your summer unforgettable.
Right now, receive 0% for 3 years on a new Tucson or Santa Fe.
And every new Hyundai comes with America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, and owner's assurance.
When you walk through our doors, you feel like family.
At Murdoch Hyundai in Logan, Linden, Murray, and online at MurdochHyundai.com.
Call 866-628-3065 to see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 7/31/23.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
I'm Elizabeth Smart. Sexual exploitation and violence are unimaginable crimes that far too many people in our communities experience. In the U.S. alone, a person is sexually assaulted every 68 seconds. Every 9 minutes, that victim is a child. It's time these numbers change. Learn more about how you can join me in the fight against child sexual exploitation at malouffoundation.org.
When you take a walk around your neighborhood and notice all the things that make it feel like home, one thing might be a little harder to notice because somewhere tucked in that neat row of houses is hunger. Over 30 million Americans don't know where their next meal is coming from. At Albertsons Companies and Safeway Foundations, we are on a mission to provide 1 billion meals by 2030 because everyone should be welcome at the table. Learn more at nourishingneighbors.com. Let's break the cycle of hunger together.
How is your drive to school? Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then, someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is a nice and warm outside. Wednesday, July. Where are we at, Bill? I'm kidding. It is July 26th.
It's June 1st.
I'm so excited about today's show for a lot of different reasons, but working backwards here, our good friend Kimball Mortensen will be joining us in hour 2. He is a longtime listener of the show. He's been a frequent guest on the show over the years in various capacities. He helped to found Morty's. He worked with the university on some student engagement things, getting them involved in politics and things like that. But he's joining us today as a UFO conspiracist. I'm just kidding. There was a hearing in Congress today, an actual hearing on actual, they didn't call them UFOs, they called them unidentified airborne. It was UAF is the name of the hearing. It was a congressional hearing, and they had a whistleblower testify before Congress today saying that there was a lot the government was keeping secret. So Kimball will be with us in hour 2 to recap what was said today at the hearing. These were credible witnesses, not crackpots, and it was quite an interesting thing. So we'll get our tinfoil hats on in hour 2 of today's show. Please stick around for that. Joining us right now to kick off hour 1, though, very special guests here in the studio to talk about something that you really want to make time for. It's a benefit for the Cache County Children's Justice Center. We've talked about the center many times on the show over the years. The easiest way to explain what the center is all about is probably one of the most important things that the county does. And the Cache County Children's Justice Center depends on both community support, support from the state, support from the county, and it is oftentimes the only resource for children in a traumatic situation or scenario, and just a really, really important organization and what they do. We'll talk more about that in a bit. To benefit the Cache County Children's Justice Center, July 29th, the Teddy Bear Ride takes place. It starts at Saddleback Harley-Davidson on South Main Street there in Logan, 445 South specifically. Registration is open now. Early registration will save you a few bucks. And then there is in-person registration at 8 a.m. on July 29th. Donuts and coffee, riders meet and greet, things like that. And then the ride gets underway around 10. After the ride, they've got food, live bands, and more. It's very cheap, $13 for a single rider, $23 for groups of 2 and more. Same-day registration goes up a couple of bucks to $15 for a single rider. And everyone gets to be a part of something really important. And they're asking riders to bring a new stuffed teddy bear with tags along for the ride, and the teddy bears will be donated to the Children's Justice Center of Cache County. So those are the details you need to know, but we'll talk a lot more about this. Joining us here in the studio, we have a few different people with us. This is Scott. Scott, it's really fun to have the actual director in as well. I joked about maybe saying some mean things about Terrell Warner. She's usually who we speak with, but it's nice to be able to talk to the person kind of overseeing all of this. We also have this is let's see, make sure I get this right. Todd Andreasen, right?
Yes,
did I say that right?
You did.
That's a first for this week, I guess. And this is Harley Owners Group. This is tell me about the name of this group, HOG.
So HOG is just the acronym for the Harley Owners Group, and several dealerships around the country and around the world sponsor a chapter of the Harley Owners Group, and we are there to basically go ride, have fun, support charities, and just get out in the community and do the things that make us all happy.
I love this HOG. I like the name of this. But now the groups I know involved in a lot of different things, but this is a big one, right? The teddy bear ride.
Yes, it was absent for a couple of years.
Sure.
Several different groups that had formed it and started the ride, and now it kind of took its absence, I think, because of COVID and a few other things, and we just thought, hey, it's such a great light, let's bring it back, and this was a great time to start it.
I'm glad to see it back. This is a fun event for, again, a really good cause. And also here in the studio with us, president of the board of the Children's Justice Center of Cache County, Stephanie Kendrick. And maybe a good place to start, Scott and Stephanie, if we can talk a little bit about the Children's Justice Center itself. I struggle to explain what the Children's Justice Center does because it's difficult to talk about for me. No matter how many times we've discussed it on air, in a perfect world, this would not need to exist, and you would prefer it not have to, but we don't live in that world. So tell us a little bit about the work of the Justice Center.
So the Children's Justice Center is the evidence collection point of a child abuse investigation. So imagine, if you will, a circumstance where a child has said, something has happened to me. That report then goes to law enforcement or DCFS, and that information needs to be collected in a way that will work in court. And that's what we do at the Children's Justice Center, whether that's through testimonial evidence in an interview or in a medical exam.
That's, and again, something none of us like to think about, that this needs to happen. But this is advocacy legal work, right? Is that a fair way to describe it? Advocating for children through, a legal process, an investigative process?
There's certainly parallels to advocacy. Our component of it is neutral fact-finding. We're just, like we said, evidence collection. The investigators or DCFS, they run the investigation. All we do is collect the evidence to the best of our ability. I mean, there's times children don't want to talk.
Sure.
Sometimes it's delayed and it's hard to collect evidence. But as far as doing the investigation, law enforcement and DCFS does the investigation and we do the evidence collection.
This is, again, one of the most important aspects of these situations because when something like this occurs and when children are experiencing this type of thing, as you said, Scott, it's really important to have all of the I's dotted, T's crossed, not just from a justice perspective, but from going forward for the well-being of the children as well. And Stephanie, I know that's where the board steps in a little bit as well. The Justice Center, I know, is known for making a lot of different partnerships, working with a lot of different stakeholders, and you sit as president of the board, kind of behind the scenes on all this, making sure all the resources are available as much as possible, right?
Yes, that's correct. And when the Children's Justice Centers, even all over Utah, what we wanted, the intent was to have a place for the children to go that wasn't scary or intimidating, because we all know they've been through enough trauma up to this point. So we the Children's Justice Centers across the state are in homes, so that the children come in and everything takes place in what feels like a home setting. So it's comfortable for them, not a scary place. We have activities for the children to do, lots of stuffed animals. The major role of, we call ourselves the Friends of the Cache Children's Justice Center, and so we're a group of citizens in the community, and our main goal is to educate children and parents alike on how to prevent child abuse. So, like you said at the beginning, our goal is to help end it, so that we don't even have to be here to talk about it.
Sure.
I mean, we'd love to not have any children come through the Children's Justice Center. So we will be working, we are collaborating with Prevent. There's a group out of Salt Lake City that we're going to be working with them this fall, coming into the schools to help educate children, something we've never really done before. So we're going to push as hard as we can to educate these little ones on how to empower them, how to protect them.
That is, it's amazing work, and hats off to everyone who can do it, to those who help organize events like the Teddy Bear Ride, other things that happen to support the Children's Justice Center. It's really important that this exists and get support here in Cache County. And we'll talk more about it. Again, the reason for today's interview with our guests here in the studio is the return of the Teddy Bear Ride. This is a benefit ride for the Cache County Children's Justice Center happening July 29th. I've posted some information on our Facebook page on registration and more. But again, it'll save you a couple of bucks if you register now. $13 for a single rider, $23 for a group of 2 and up. And stick with us. In the studio with us, we have the director of the Cache County Children's Justice Center, Scott Bodily. We have president of the board of the Children's Justice Center, Stephanie Kendrick. And with the Harley Owners Group, HOG, we have Todd Andreasen here in the studio talking about the Teddy Bear Ride. If you have questions, of course, you're welcome to join us, 753-5868, and we'll be back right after this.
Hi, this is Chris Wilson of Wilson Motor Company. It's the final days of our 80th anniversary sales event. We have reduced prices on over 300 Ford, Lincoln, Nissan, and pre-owned vehicles, including over 50 F-150s in stock and coming. We have rebates as high as $3,000 and interest rates as low as 0% for 60 months. Check out our inventory online before July 31st at wilsonmotor.com.
Wilson Motor Company, we make car buying easy.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News, what the Fed's latest decision on interest rates means for your bank account and the economy as a whole. Also recapping the Hunter Biden court appearance. Plus, the urban renewal projects across the country have a dark side, we'll explain. And collectors hunting for the holy grail of Barbie dolls. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. In the studio with us right now, 3 very special guests. We have with us the director of the Children's Justice Center of Cache County, Scott Bodily. We have the president of the board of the Children's Justice Center, Stephanie Kendrick. And with the Harley Owners Group, HOG, based here in Cache Valley, we have Todd Andreasen. We're talking about the Teddy Bear Ride making its big return this year. July 29th. This is a benefit for the Cache County Children's Justice Center. It's cheap, $13 for a single, $23 for groups of 2 and up. Registration in advance is a couple bucks cheaper. Goes up to $15 for a single on day of registration. And that starts at 8 a.m. on July 29th, so plenty of time to make your plans and be a part of this. They're asking every rider to bring a stuffed teddy bear, a new teddy bear toy, with the tags preferably along for the ride, and those will be donated to the Children's Justice Center as well as the proceeds of the registration for the ride itself. And Todd, we discussed during the break, there are some things that riders may want to consider and plan for as they register and show up on the 29th. This is not just around the block, right? This is the idea here is to get attention, get people talking, right?
It is. So, obviously it's going to be very warm. And so we want everybody to have an enjoyable ride. And so make sure that you're very, very hydrated. Sure. It's very surprising how much wind will take the moisture right out of your body. And so we just ask that just prepare for a hot day. It'll be a fairly lengthy ride. It'll start here at the dealership. We'll end up riding south to Paradise, and then we'll come back through Hiram, across the dam, and over to Wellsville. And from there, take the West Highway from Wellsville out to Newton. And we'll be stopping at the park in Newton for a hydration station and a little activity out there for probably 20-30 minutes. And at that point, we'll continue through Lewiston.
Wow.
So, yeah, we'll end up going through Cornish and then up through Lewiston, back up to Highway 89, and back towards the dealership. We're planning a second stop, which is probably going to be in the Richmond area. So, and that's just because we know the weather's going to be pretty warm.
Yeah.
So, and then from there, it's just back to the dealership to the fun activities. So, and we're fortunate to have Cache County officers, the motorcycle officers, helping us out. They're going to be leading the ride out. So,
sure.
So, yeah, we'll be making plenty of noise. A lot of thunder coming through the towns.
That is very cool.
And I want to make sure we thank Lee's Marketplace,
sure,
Smith's Marketplace, and Straibus are helping,
as well as Coca-Cola.
Sponsors, huh?
Yep.
That's very nice.
And it definitely is going to be. This is an event that will literally warm your heart.
Yeah.
And every other part of your body.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And you don't need to have. It doesn't matter what kind of motorcycle.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
a
it doesn't
Harley.
have to be a Harley.
No,
right?
any motorcycle.
Although the
anything
scooter riders will get teased a little bit, right?
But that's okay.
I mean, that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. If your knees are in the wind, you're good.
That's right.
So,
this is, it's a fun thing to see. I've got, I couldn't find it, but somewhere on our show Facebook page is video of the takeoff of the last teddy bear ride, and it's just, I mean, there were thousands of. It was impressive, and for such a good cause, and for anyone out there who wants to be a part of it. Again, early registration is happening now. Same day registration Saturday morning at 8 a.m. is available. It's this Saturday, July 29th, and everything starts at 8 a.m. with that early registration hour at Saddleback Harley-Davidson, 445 South Main Street, right here in Logan. And it wraps up after the ride later on in the day with lunch, a live band, and more. It's a good time down there at the Saddleback Harley-Davidson parking lot after the ride. But please show them your support. And that as a final note for listeners, Stephanie, maybe you can take this one. If people can't be a part of the ride, either schedule-wise, maybe they're not motorcycle fans, there are other ways they can support the Children's Justice Center, right?
Yes, we're always looking for donations of like food, treats for the children when they come in, or financial donations, or just, I think the biggest thing again is just please, we ask all the parents this year when it comes out in the fall that we'll be educating, please support us in educating and come to the events where we will be educating, and we can't sweep it under the carpet anymore. We can't ignore that it's happening. It is happening right here in our valley, and it's happening a lot. So we need everybody's support on putting an end to this.
We know that, right? We know that pretending it doesn't happen is actually a good way to encourage it to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's a hard conversation to have, but it's important that we do.
We can't ignore it anymore. It's time to stand up and save these little ones. They need us.
Sure. And again, through the Children's Justice Center of Cache County, the process of not only getting justice in these situations, but also supporting the children, making sure the children can go from a traumatic experience back to rebuilding their lives, and of course their families experiencing this with them oftentimes. That's what the Children's Justice Center is all about. A pleasure to have the three of you here in the studio. I'm so glad this is back. I'm glad, again, in a perfect world, I wish you guys didn't need to do any of this and had more pleasant things to do with your time. But I'm so glad the Children's Justice Center exists, knowing what they do and even some stories from over the years of people that have been helped. Please support the Cache County Children's Justice Center any way you can. And again, one way to do that, this Saturday, July 29th, starting at 8 a.m. with registration at the Saddleback Harley-Davidson location at 445 South Main Street, right on Logan's Main Street. The Teddy Bear Ride. It all kicks off Saturday morning with that early registration, wraps up later in the day with lunch and a live band. And it's cheap. Early registration, again, $13 for a single rider. That's it. And it all goes to help the Children's Justice Center. They're asking riders, again, to bring a stuffed teddy bear with tags. Those will be donated to the Children's Justice Center of Cache County. And thanks to our guests, again, Todd, Stephanie, and Scott. A pleasure to have you here in the studio, and thank you for making the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. And for listeners, thank you for making the time to listen. Stick around. We'll be back after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:31, and the news is brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Late afternoon and evening storms in Utah have been bringing a significant amount of lightning along with them. According to Brad Johnson, fire warden for Box Elder County, as of Tuesday afternoon, more than 3,500 lightning strikes were calculated in Utah in the last 24 hours. Johnson said they usually go out and kind of watch and see any possible strikes or possible fires. For the most part, about 5 o'clock every evening, it seems like a thunderstorm cell has been pushing through for the last week or so. In the last 24 hours, roughly 500 of those lightning strikes from the statewide total of 3,500 were in Box Elder County. Johnson said it's dry, and of the 500 lightning strikes in Box Elder County, 4 resulted in fires. The former chief of the Stockton, Utah Police Department was charged Tuesday after an investigation into his payment for working contracted shifts with Utah Highway Patrol. 36-year-old Travis Stephen Romney was charged with two counts of theft and 1 count of communications fraud. All 3 are second-degree felonies. Romney resigned last year from his position as chief of police in Stockton, a small town just south of Tooele. He was in the position for 6 years. He then accepted a job as a detective for the Grantsville Police Department, according to the Tooele Transcript Bulletin. According to court documents, an agent with the Utah Department of Public Safety heard from a Stockton city official who said they found irregularities in Romney's paychecks in February of this year. An investigation was conducted, and the DPS agent spoke with the former chief. Romney told the agent that during his tenure, he also worked DUI shifts for the DPS Highway Safety Office. According to the contracts for Romney's overtime work on the DUI shifts, the state would reimburse the city for his pay on those shifts. However, investigators said they found that Romney was paid $228,441 for DUI shift reimbursements between 2016 and 2022, but Stockton was only reimbursed $109,797. The difference between what Romney was paid and the amount of money that Highway Safety reimbursed the town of Stockton for is $118,644.15. The DPS agent said they also determined that he directly overbilled the state by $22,191 for the DUI shifts. Investigators also said Romney submitted reports each month that contained the number of DUI arrests made. They looked at records from the county jail, district court, and justice court and said the actual arrest numbers fell far below the number of DUI arrests reported by Romney throughout the period reported. A warrant was issued for Romney's arrest, but court records do not indicate that he had been arrested as of Tuesday night. His charging documents also show that Romney himself requested a summons to be issued instead. And Salt Lake City police arrested a 19-year-old man on suspicion of committing an aggravated robbery and discarding his gun into the Jordan River after a series of incidents. Romney Wolfgram was arrested and booked after he was accused of robbing two people at gunpoint near the Jordan River Trail on Saturday. When officers arrived, Wolfgram ran away but was later found attempting another robbery, according to the Salt Lake City police. Wolfgram allegedly tried to escape, throwing his gun into the Jordan River, but officers recovered it safely. He was booked into the Salt Lake County Jail, where he faces multiple charges, including aggravated robbery, failure to stop for police, obstruction of justice, and possession of drug paraphernalia. KBNU News Time is 4:35.
If you've ever passed by 485 North Main, you've likely noticed how well kept the property is. The grass is always green and the flower beds are always well kept and in bloom. What you see on the outside is exactly what you'll find inside. Care and attention to detail. Exactly what you want when you're dealing with one of your most important senses, your hearing. Dr. Daines' love and care for the community has always gone beyond the front steps at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. So if you're not hearing as well as you used to, stop in at 485 North Main in Logan or visit them online at cachehearing.com.
A judge put Hunter Biden's previously arranged plea deal on hold today. The ambiguity that the judge was concerned about whether the deal would shield Biden from further prosecution related to tax crimes or if it would mean blanket immunity from any potential charges in the future. ABC News Chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl.
The only reason he was willing to plead guilty to tax charges, two misdemeanors, was because he would get immunity. And when it came before the court, his view of what kind of immunity he would have and the DOJ's view of what kind of immunity he would have were at odds.
The Fed today raised interest rates another 0.25%, putting rates as high as 5.5%. That's a 22-year high. But Fed Chair Jerome Powell saying a recession is now not likely. The House UFO hearings today. 3 men previously served in the military alleging there's a covert U.S. government program to recover the remains of crashed UFOs, something the Pentagon denies. Dave Packer, ABC News.
KBNU weather for tonight, partly cloudy skies, low around 60. Partly cloudy to start the day on Wednesday, becoming mostly sunny, high in the mid-90s with west winds 10 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon. It's been to 91. It's 90 degrees right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry with 55 and 80-pound washers to make your stay much shorter. Located in Logan and Brigham City. You can always get more news at CacheValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Branch Office Administrator Brittany Chambers bringing you the Daily Financial Market Report on behalf of Financial Advisor Daryl Arnell and Edward Jones. Equity markets were mixed as today's Fed decision and statement were broadly aligned with investor expectations. Chair Powell left all options open with the committee following a data-dependent approach on future hikes. Without strong hints on forward guidance, investors stuck to the current narrative that calls for inflation to moderate further while growth holds up, implying that the Fed's tightening cycle may be over. Treasury yields and the dollar declined, while the Dow finished higher for the 13th straight day, the longest winning stretch since 1987. Along with the Fed, big tech earnings were in focus, and while solid results came in, expectations were elevated heading into the quarter given the sizable year-to-date gains for the sector. Alphabet rallied 5.6%, but offsetting the strength was Microsoft, which declined 3.7%. European markets were lower, with headlines revolving around a surprising drop in U.S. sales from luxury brand LVMH. Today, U.S. equities closed lower. The Dow closed up 82 points, or 0.23%, at 35,520. The Nasdaq closed down 17 points, or 0.12%, at 14,127. The S&P 500 closed down 1 point, or 0.02%, at 4,567. And in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 3.86% lower by 0.05 percentage points. In stocks of local interest, Home Depot is up $4.46 to $329.59. Lowe's is up 13 cents to $234.07. Nucor is down $3.97 to $168.91. Pepsi is up 24 cents to $191.60. Thermo Fisher is up $3.50 to $574.41. Zions Bank is up $2.67 to $38.45, and Northrop Grumman is down 3 cents to $557.16. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Daryl Arnell, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
My friend John Hansen at the Duct Hunter has constantly educated you about the need for ductwork cleaning in your home. But what about your cabin or summer home outside the valley? You need that home's ductwork cleaned too. With high pollen counts in the mountains, dust always in the wind, and road construction ever present, the old adage of out of sight, out of mind is bad. Give the Duct Hunter a call at 770-4813 to clean out those dirty ducts in your summer home.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? When you work with Edward Jones in Cache Valley, they focus on what's important to you. They'll help you create a personalized financial strategy backed by their advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And Edward Jones will partner to help your strategy stay on track, no matter what happens. Call one of the 7 Edward Jones locations in Cache Valley. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, the aftermath of the botched plea deal with Hunter Biden. What are the next steps going to be here? Does this affect Joe, the president, and the 2024 campaign in the end? Plus, Clay?
We'll talk with Senator J.D. Vance about that, about also the Republican primary to see who's going to be the presidential nominee for us, and break down that and more next.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Little music to get in the mood for this weekend's teddy bear ride. This is very cool. As Todd told us while they were in the studio, this hasn't happened for a few years now. It kind of
when was the last year they did it? Was it 2019 then, or
either 18 or 19? I want to say there was one in 2019. I should have asked while they were here. But it's been a few years, and as Todd said, they decided it was time to bring it back. I'm excited about that. I've said this a couple times during the interview. I'm going to say it one more time. In a perfect world that we'd all prefer to live in, something like the Children's Justice Center, or any of the organizations that are that exist in this same world, nonprofits like CAPSA and the Family Place. In a perfect world, they wouldn't have any work. They wouldn't be necessary. It'd just be a waste of everyone's time in a perfect world. We don't live in that world, unfortunately. And I know we see them here through our newsroom, through conversations and even interviews on air sometimes with law enforcement. Even the Attorney General's office has done some public awareness pushes on this type of thing. But if you see that, it's an uncomfortable topic. I know that. But one thing we absolutely know is that pretending child abuse doesn't happen is the best way to keep it happening, to even maybe encourage the incidents to happen. The more secrecy there is around it, the easier it is for a perpetrator to continue or to start in the first place. And so we know that. So raising awareness is just more than just a radio conversation, more than just a fun event like the Teddy Bear Ride to support the Children's Justice Center. Raising awareness is also about getting all of us to wrap our heads around even just the statistical face of this, which is mind-blowing. even for Cache Valley. And I meet people anytime, this comes up, anytime we talk about it, I meet people who will talk about this. I fall into it myself sometimes as if it's a rare thing, as if it's it's something that every time it happens, there's a news story, and you don't see those news stories very often. I tell you, there is probably a news story on an incident of child abuse, one for every 100 incidents. Because for it to become a news story, it has to have an angle that makes it stand out. How sobering is that? That it's not even, it's so the opposite of rare, even here in Cache Valley, that it is not news anymore. That's the reality of child abuse. And once the abuse occurs, of course, oftentimes there's a legal process that plays out, getting justice. But also, in the sense of getting justice, you're also looking to prevent future incidents, protect other children. There are a lot of aspects of this that really need to be taken care of, and that's what the Children's Justice Center does. So whether you ride or not, support their work in any way you can. Get out, and this is great. I love this. And you can make a direct donation, but this was a creative way to do it. Listener said, I listened to that interview. I don't ride. Motorcycles scare the daylights out of me, but I just paid the registration fee because I want them to have my $13.
That's nice.
That's very nice. But I should say this. You can just, through the Children's Justice Center, you can just make a direct donation. So you don't have to fill out all the paperwork. And plus, they love the direct donations just as much. So you can do it that way and save yourself some time. But very nice of a listener to donate that $13, even though they don't plan to ride Saturday. Where you have paid the registration, though, show up for lunch and the live band after the ride. It all gets underway 8 a.m. Saturday morning at the South Logan Harley-Davidson location. Saddleback Harley-Davidson, which is 445 South Main Street.
They haven't been. How long has it been since they've been in that location? A few years now.
It's funny. This relates to something I was thinking about the other day. I don't know if it's just me or if we all do this. Maybe it's aging. I don't know. But my sense of my temporal perspective is so warped sometimes. Because,
mine too. I'll think something happened just a couple years ago, and it was actually 10 years ago.
That's
like, who knew? Or
the opposite. There are things in Logan that I still think of as new, like the South Harley-Davidson location. And if you think about it, it's far from new. It's been there several years. But to me, it's still new because I'm old enough to remember the Trader's Den and some other things on the other side of the road down there, So, and Darla Clark.
That's right.
Behind that counter.
The proprietor.
Before she was mayor, even. So, yeah, I just, I really have a warped sense. But to answer your question, I think it's been there several years, but it still seems new to me. It was in a much smaller building before. That's a larger location and big parking lot. And again, that's where everything will kick off Saturday morning. And feel free to go down and just watch and be a part of the crowd. The goal of this, again, is to raise awareness, get people talking. So having a big crowd down there, even if you're not registered to ride, even if you don't plan to stick around for lunch and the live bands after the ride, just being down there for the kickoff, you're going to get people noticing, get people talking, and that's the whole point of this. So, yeah, encourage everyone to be a part of this. It's a fun event, whether you like motorcycles or not. And as Todd said, it doesn't have to be a Harley. It's going to start at the Harley store, but it can be anything. I like his phrase, as long as your knees are in the wind, you're welcome to join us. So scooters, all that. Listener asking about e-bikes. I wouldn't, personally, just because of the size difference and the length of the ride and the speed at which they may be traveling at certain points of that ride. I don't know that an e-bike can keep up, but you're welcome to show up on your e-bike and ask Saturday morning. I see what they say. I personally wouldn't recommend it for safety reasons, but again, the Teddy Bear Ride making its big return this Saturday. Coming up on the other side, some sad news today, and only 80s, 90s kids are going to really, I guess, care. But this is a person that had an interesting history. Interesting because you might be surprised to find out that her career continued after what was kind of considered by everybody her official cancellation on an episode of Saturday Night Live. But with the news today that Irish singer-songwriter Sinead O'Connor had died at age 56. And talk a little bit about this because, again, it's interesting for those of my generation that will remember the event, which we'll talk about on the other side. It's really interesting how things can become perceived in our recent history and our rewriting of it. We'll discuss right after this.
Dr. Josh Redd, chiropractic physician, explains how Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
If you have low thyroid and you're taking thyroid medication, the biggest question you should ask yourself is what's causing my low thyroid specifically? If you don't know the answer to that question, it's important to call us. At Red River, we identify triggers that will cause the low thyroid to begin with. One of the most common causes of low thyroid is a disease called Hashimoto's disease. This is an autoimmune disease that is a lot more complicated than just a primary thyroid issue. This is why people will be on thyroid hormone but still feel little to no improvement because nothing's being done to address the bigger, more complicated problem, which is Hashimoto's. If you have low thyroid or you have an autoimmune disease and you're on medication and still don't feel well, call Red River.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
This is Sweetwater Window Cleaning. Summer is here, and so are all the activities. Why not have us take care of the window cleaning for you? I'm sure you've got plenty on your to-do list already. And let's face it, when you climb that dangerous ladder to clean your own windows, they seldom come out as good as you'd like. Let us give you the crystal clean professional results you want. Mention this ad, and we'll remove hard water for free.
Sweetwater Window Cleaning, 3636543, 3636543.
Hi everyone, this is Lena Miller, your 2023 Cache County Fair and Rodeo Junior Princess. I am inviting you to come celebrate the 144th anniversary beginning August 9th through the 12th, starts at 8 p.m., where the bright lights beckon you to shine with the stars of the rodeo during 4 action-packed nights of cowboys, bulls, and patriotism. So gallop on down in your best red, white, and blue, where my horse Chipper and I can't wait to meet you there.
So come on out, let's have some fun at the Cache County Fair.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. One of the Sinead O'Connor songs not everyone knows.
Everybody knows Nothing Compares to You.
That's right. That was her biggest hit. This was her biggest hit previous to that, by the way. This was a single off of her first album. And it was, I think, 87, 88, something like that when that album came out. And she got some college radio play and was kind of well known as a alternative rock artist. That's what we called it back in the day. And
everybody thought, wow, she's cool. And then she went mainstream, and it's like, Sinead who?
Second album, she sold out. Covered a Prince song. Well, actually, she didn't cover it. He wrote it for her. It was
Huge hit.
That was a great album, too, though. This is a very talented person. She lost a lot of people after that musically because she started really experimenting, which she talked about over the length of her career. And said this is, the only thing she ever wanted to do was perform live. And she said, I make enough money performing live. I don't really care how my albums are selling. And I always thought that was cool. That was her attitude towards this profession of being a singer-songwriter and performer. But she said, I'm not going to be one of those people that claims the fame, of that second album and the attention I got there for a few years. I'm not going to claim it wasn't pleasant. I'm not that humble. So I really respected her for that. But, yeah, things got a little strange after that musically. She experimented. She had an album full of Broadway songs. She had another album that was just famous feminist anthems over the years. Then she started kind of getting into Eastern music and instruments and things like that. So, but the reason I bring all this up is that I'm surprised by people in my age group or maybe a little younger who remember her and remember the big 1992 Saturday Night Live incident, who really believed that that was the end of her. She was canceled for that. Nobody ever heard from her again. The opposite was true. And I was thinking about this when I saw the news this morning about her death at age 56. A quick aside, this is tragic. I didn't know this until this morning either, reading about her. Her son also died a year ago, her 17-year-old son. She had 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter. I think the daughter, the youngest, and her oldest was actually 33. But she had a 17-year-old son who was struggling with some mental illness and was in a hospital. And for some reason or another, in fact, there's an investigation that's still ongoing. Her son was released from the hospital without the family being notified. And he went out and immediately took his own life. And she demanded investigation. And according to the Irish Times article I read this morning, that investigation is still continues. But just a tragic a couple of years for her and her family. Her death today, no details were provided. The family asked for privacy and respect for their grieving process, and it was a very short statement. But yeah, 56 years old, Sinead O'Connor has died. And what it had me thinking about was, again, this. So those who don't remember it, Sinead O'Connor was the musical guest October 3rd, 1992. This was at the height of her popularity. Her album, released the previous year, had gone platinum. The Nothing Compares to You song was the biggest single, longest-running single on the Billboard charts for, I think, 16 months. It was in the top 10. Really, really good year for her. And her previous album, The Lion and the Cobra, from 1987, was also selling like crazy with the success of her 1990 album. So, height of her career, she just finished a tour. She's the musical guest on Saturday Night Live. She's 26 years old at the time. And everyone expected her to sing Nothing Compares to You. That was a song that had made her famous, a globally known name. And instead, surprising even the producers of the show, when the live broadcast actually happened, she didn't sing Nothing Compares to You that they planned on. She and her touring band played a cover of her touring band didn't play. That was what was interesting. They came out with her when they came back from the commercial break during the live SNL performance, and the band came out, put their instruments on, and then just proceeded to stand there doing nothing while she sang an a cappella version of Bob Marley's War for her second song of the night. And towards the end of the performance, she holds up, there's video of this, you can find it, it was so shared, this was pre-YouTube even, but it was, she holds up a photo of the, at the time, Pope, John Paul II, and proceeds, at the end of Bob Marley's War, as she finishes the final verse, she proceeds to tear the photo of the Pope into shreds, live on national television. And saying, "We have confidence in the victory of good over evil. Fight the real enemy," was her final word. And Saturday Night Live producers banned her from the show forever at that point. And it was pretty much, for most people, considered the end of her career. Now, again, that wasn't the case. She continued to be a very wealthy and popular recording and artist and touring artist. She still sold out to large venues, even here in the U.S., in fact, one in Utah several years ago. But for most people, that was the end of her career. People forgot about her. The backlash to tearing a picture of the Pope on national live television was just too much. But she said in her book, she wrote a memoir, Rememberings, and she said in that book, "I feel that having a #1 record was actually what derailed my career, not tearing the photo up on live television in the U.S. And she explained that one of the reasons she did this was that she says, "I am a devout Catholic. My mother was a devout Catholic. My mother was incredibly abusive, and the local leaders of our church helped her helped her cover it up, help her, abuse myself and my siblings. And then she said, now I watch the news reports of the abuse happening within the church and the church trying to hide it, abuse of young children. She said, how could I not use that moment, probably the height of my fame, never to come again, to say one of the most important things I thought I could have said? So no, I don't feel like it ended my career. I feel like it made my career. Having a number one single is what almost ended my career. Really interesting perspective. Again, sad to see her go. Beautiful voice. Sinead O'Connor dead at 56. The news out this morning. That's hour one of today's show. Our good friend Kimball Mortensen joining